What comedian lost an iconic role due to jokes told on Twitter? Which pop star was dropped from a lotion company for being too risque? Find out as we look at stars that lost huge endorsement deals. Number 12. Charlize Theron. Charlize Theron is the level of performer to achieve multiple endorsements, and in 2006 she was working with brands Raymond Weil and Christian Dior. She had an exclusive contract to endorse the former designer's watches while being signed on to support the lather's perfumes. So when Theron was seen wearing a Dior watch at a film festival in Austin, Texas, representatives for Raymond Weil were displeased to say the least. She was sued by the company in 2007 for $20 million, but settled on undisclosed terms in 2008. Number 11. Lance Armstrong. As the 2005 Tour de France winner, professional road cyclist Lance Armstrong was once heralded worldwide for his athleticism, fortitude, and determination. In addition to his accomplishments in the sport, the pro athlete fought off and survived testicular cancer, a diagnosis with a potentially fatal result. Upon recovering from the condition, Armstrong founded what would become the Livestrong Foundation as a means to assist with other cancer survivors. At one point, people around the globe wore his trendy Livestrong Foundation bracelets, and he was on top of the world. Throughout his career, though, Armstrong has been accused of taking illegal substances to enhance his performance. As allegations continued to amass over the years, eventually a number of lawsuits put Armstrong under their crosshairs. As the United States Anti-Doping Agency, or USADA, closed in, Armstrong admitted to his misdeeds publicly in an interview with Oprah in January of 2013. The USADA released the report on him shortly after, and the former role model would lose 8 sponsors in one day, including Nike, costing him a reported loss of $75 million. Number 10. Katy Perry. When you're a pop sensation, your music crosses boundaries and connects with the world at large, as was the case for Katy Perry after hits like Teenage Dream, Firework, and California Girls. But according to one of Perry's endorsing brands, though, being a chart-topping hitmaker wasn't quite enough to win over all hearts. Gemella Group Limited, a hairstyling company behind the popular British Good Hair Day hair care products, had completed research when they claimed showing a significant decrease in appeal across Europe. What's more, the apparent research found Perry to be increasingly polarizing, and some survey participants supposedly stated that the singer had cheapened the GHD brand. They cited these reasons as to why they would allow their contract with Katy Perry to expire. However, her management claimed they had verbal agreement to extend the contract for an additional multi-million-dollar sum. And so Perry's representation took JGL to court. They then countersued Perry, and the whole affair became muddled in legal context before the case was settled months later. Number 9. Gilbert Gottfried. Many comedians believe no jokes to be off limits, for many of the heartiest laughs are felt when discussing subjects otherwise left unspoken. But certain lines are more costly to cross than others, and the comedic actor Gilbert Gottfried learned this the hard way in 2011. As a 9-magnitude megathrust earthquake resulted in a tsunami that rattled Japan, the 64-year-old comedian thought it was the perfect opportunity to make a series of jokes. Gottfried spewed short-form cracks like, "Japan is really advanced. They don't go to the beach comes to them." And, "Japan called me. They said maybe those jokes are a hit in the US, but over here, they're all sinking." These insensitive, hammy quips came within the first few days after the natural disaster, and were not well received by the public, and especially not Aflac. The insurance company used Gottfried's famous voice for their popular duck mascot, and coincidentally did 75% of their business in Japan. Within a month and a half, he was replaced by Daniel McKeague, performing a Gottfried impression. Number 8. Ludacris. Ludacris has had an interesting career path, transitioning from local DJ to hit rap artist to action movie actor. But before he became a perennial star of the Fast and Furious franchise, the Southern rapper came under fire from the right-wing media. Having established his name with early hits like Roll Out My Business, Area Codes, and Southern Hospitality, Ludacris had landed an endorsement deal with Pepsi Company. Conservative pundit Bill O'Reilly, who had rallied publicly against rap and hip-hop music, citing foul language and immoral lyrics for justification, called for a boycott of Pepsi products on his program. A day later, O'Reilly told viewers Pepsi had fired the rapper. The television personality had called Ludacris a thug rapper who espouses violence, intoxication, and degrading conduct toward women. 6 months later, Pepsi would draw the wrath of hip-hop personality and entrepreneur Russell Simmons when they hired Ozzy Osbourne. As Osbourne had been guilty of lyrical controversy similar to Ludacris, he called on a hip-hop action summit to boycott Pepsi Company products in response. To settle the differences, Pepsi ended up donating $3 million to inner-city charities, including Ludacris' own foundation. And O'Reilly? Well, he would experience his own brand troubles down the line. Number 7. Bill O'Reilly. In the spring of 2017, the New York Times released an article detailing 5 lawsuits settled by Bill O'Reilly out of court. The brash Fox News host had been accused of harassment from various female Fox hosts, producers, and contributors between 2002 and 2016. Within a week of the news going public, nearly 60 brands pulled their advertising from his program, the O'Reilly Factor, costing the show more than half of its advertisers. Companies like Mercedes-Benz found the allegations disturbing and were quoted as saying, "We don't feel this is a good environment in which to advertise our products right now." He announced shortly after that he would be taking a 2-week vacation to return by the end of April. But after just 8 days of being away, it was announced that the political media persona would not return to Fox News. Number 6. Rihanna. Picking a pop culture heavyweight like Rihanna to endorse your products can lead to a whole lot of exposure. But given the pop star's edgy appeal, including her physical shamelessness, some companies may have bit off more than they intended. So it seemed was the case with lotion company Nivea in 2012. After a successful partnership with Rihanna, including many performances in honor of the company's 100 years of skincare celebrations through 2011, when a new CEO took over at Nivea, though the two entities apparently clashed. Nivea, as CEO Stefan Heidenreich put it, is a company which stands for trust, family, and reliability. Because of this, Heidenreich couldn't understand how Nivea can be brought into association with Rihanna, stating further advertisements were a no-go. Oddly enough, many of the photos used in the Nivea ad campaign featured the Barbadian singer in the buff. While the logic behind the business decision remains somewhat perplexing, Rihanna has gotten on fine without them, landing deals with brands like Budweiser and MAC Cosmetics in the years that followed. Number 5. Magic Johnson. Earvin Magic Johnson is one of the most accomplished, widely celebrated players to ever play for the Los Angeles Lakers. His run with the team from 1979 to 1991 churned out 5 separate championships, with Johnson earning Most Valuable Player and Finals MVP 3 times each. So when the 6'9" point guard announced to the world that he had been diagnosed HIV positive, many were quick to stick behind Johnson and respect his decision to retire. But not everyone recognized Johnson's heroic gestures, as brands slowly but surely paused any advertising campaigns and endorsement deals that were in the works. At the time, due to the controversial and misplaced association with homosexuality and the relatively conservative American public, HIV and AIDS were a somewhat taboo subject in media, despite being a very real, life-threatening virus. While Converse had committed to an ad set to run during the Summer Olympics, others like Pepsi, Nestle, and Spalding hesitated to hold up their end of the plague to work with Johnson in spreading AIDS awareness. Said a Nestle spokesperson at the time, "It's a hard situation. No matter what we do, there are people who will be unhappy." While sponsors like Target and KFC opt to cease using him in advertisements altogether, it's a real predicament. Because of this situation, are we obligated to work with him forever? Asked a Target spokeswoman. These brands continued to bide their time with one of the biggest names in sports. When Johnson was suddenly voted into the 1992 All-Star Game as a starter by fans, it wasn't long before advertisers and brands came crawling back to support him, as Magic Johnson went on to play in the Summer Olympics that year. Number 4. Manny Pacquiao. A champion of his sport, Manny Pacquiao is one of the most celebrated fighters in the world, and a hero among his fellow Filipinos. Having been the first fighter to win 4 major world titles in different weight classes, his achievements in boxing brought him so much adoration that he went on to serve as Senator of the Philippines, taking office in 2016. A celebrity athlete of his esteem is a shoo-in for a Nike endorsement, and he actually enjoyed the fruits of earning one for 8 years. But when he began campaigning for office, Pacquiao was quoted as making comments deemed fairly homophobic by the public. In one video statement, he said, "If we approve male on male, female on female, then man is worse than animal." The backlash from LGBT celebrities within the Philippines, as well as much of the public, came swift, causing Pacquiao to clarify he doesn't wish to condemn gay people, stating, "Just the marriage, which is a sin against God." Nike in turn ended their partnership with the champion boxer, finding his comments against the gay community to be abhorrent. Number 3. Charlie Sheen. One of Hollywood's most notorious bad boys, controversy seems to gravitate toward Charlie Sheen more often than not. As such, the actor has subsequently had a number of falls from grace, followed by miraculous comebacks to the spotlight, despite a somewhat recent history with illegal substances and prostitution. But in 2009, on Christmas Day, Sheen was arrested for much worse when he was accused of getting physical with an alleged scuffle with then-wife Brooke Mueller. Underclothing brand Hanes reacted to the news by shutting down an ad campaign the actor starred in with Michael Jordan. He was still featured in a series of print ads that couldn't be changed. But other than that, the professional relationships with the underwear brand would fizzle out and his contract would silently expire. Shortly after, Sheen bounced back again, supposedly receiving various million-dollar offers from companies after joining Twitter in 2011. But in time, his projects lessened, and Sheen fell ill, announcing to the world in 2016 that he was HIV positive. Since then, the 53-year-old actor has gone on to endorse treatments and health products he finds beneficial towards fighting the virus. Number 2. Tiger Woods. Reaching the top of a sport comes with consequences, and to fall from such heights only leads to more disastrous implications, as was the fate for Tiger Woods, when in 2009, he crashed his Cadillac Escalade into a fire hydrant, tree, and a series of hedges near his house in Florida. The events that would follow were a cavalcade of unfortunate turns, as reports of a mistress, various acts of infidelity, and an apparent risque nightlife would come out over the following weeks. His personal life wasn't all that suffered from these factors coming to light. Major companies like AT&T, Gatorade, Gillette, Golf Digest, Accenture, Tag Heuer, and General Motors all acted quickly to end, suspend, or indefinitely drop him from planned advertising campaigns. Some brands stuck by his side despite this, with Electronic Arts continuing work on Tiger Woods' PGA Tour Online and Nike's continued support. Shareholders of the various companies he'd received endorsement deals from reportedly suffered between $5 and $12 billion in losses due to his negative publicity. But since his resurgence to pro golfing over the past couple years, Woods may just be primed to return to his role as a big brand darling.
And now for our number 1. Don't forget to subscribe.
Number 1. Cam Newton. In 2015, Carolina Panthers quarterback Cam Newton beat out rival Russell Wilson for the spot of Dannon Yogurt's primary spokesman, replacing John Stamos in the process. Newton was having a solid run with the company, earning millions for his efforts, when in 2017 he made one statement that would change it all. When asked at a press conference by reporter Jordan Rodrigue about appear and passing routes, the quarterback responded, "It's funny to hear a female talk about routes."
The comment was viewed by many, including Dannon, to be offensive towards women, with the brand stating they find the words to be sexist and disparaging to all women.
Newton wasn't dropped immediately from his contract, but the company worked swiftly to remove all public connections between the celebrity and their brand.
Today's featured comment comes from Silly Goose on our What You Didn't Know About Cardi B's Dark Past video. Thanks for your comment, Silly Goose. Don't forget to leave your thoughts below and we might feature you in a future video. Hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.